Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 3, Episode 19, titled, I Slept with Someone in Fall Out Boy, and All I Got Was a Stupid Song. Air date April 12th, 2006, and the synopsis is...
Lucas struggles with the decision of whether he should play basketball in the wake of Keith's death, while Brooke forces Rachel to deal with the dark secret. Nathan and Haley's second wedding is put to the test, and Peyton decides to visit Pete in Chicago.
So, it was kind of sad how it started
with
Lucas.
Right, yeah.
Not playing. Because he sees the jerseys, which I'm not gonna lie, the black jerseys I love.
Yeah, me too.
Like, those are my favorite jerseys, is the black ones. And so I was like, yay, we're finally with those jerseys. So I love those jerseys. And yeah. And I love how they have Keith's initials.
Yep.
But here's my take on this. When Lucas decides on the court not to play, Nathan tells Whitey, like, we're all on the same team and stuff, and I don't agree with that. Like, just because one person can't play doesn't mean the whole team needs to forfeit the game.
Right.
The only time you need a forfeit is if you truly do not have the players for it. But losing one person doesn't mean you should forfeit. Now, if let's say somebody was shot on the team, or that kind of thing, like it happened to one of their players, like their player passed away or something, I could see that they would forfeit. But it happened to somebody's uncle on the team, and that person can't play because of it. Well, okay, but that shouldn't affect the rest of the team. And how many weeks has it been, too? Don't you think that they would have had to forfeit all those games from those weeks they weren't playing? Because the season, you have to remember, the season is like football season and stuff. The games just don't end. They don't have 4 weeks that they don't play. It's not that kind. Sports isn't like that. If that was the case, the season would be over. So it doesn't make any sense that they're now getting on the court and they're going to forfeit this game. Well, shouldn't they have forfeited the past few weeks?
Right.
Because I don't know. Like, could you really see a scenario where they would be like, we'll rearrange all the games because of it? I don't know. I just feel like they would say, the game, they say the game must go on or the show must go on. It's like, well, yeah, that's the same thing here too. So even though something tragic happened, I still feel like you would have to forfeit if you couldn't play. Could you imagine them like rearranging the season to fit them? Because you have to remember, right after basketball season is baseball season. So if you had pushed this month of not playing, you would then get into baseball season and interrupt their sport. And also, you have to remember too, like, I know it doesn't happen on One Tree Hill, but we come from a school that is small, and a lot of our players played football. Right after that was basketball. And then right after that was baseball. So the fact that they played all the sports, this would have truly affected them if they would have said, well, wait a whole month. No, because then our players that play baseball couldn't play baseball because they're still playing basketball.
Right.
So I couldn't really see a scenario where that would work. So they would have had to forfeit a lot of those games.
Right.
So I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense. But
yeah.
And also, didn't they kind of start losing like right from the beginning?
Like of the season or the show?
No, the season. Remember they were losing. That's why Whitey said we're playing in this gym because you guys are ruining my name.
Yeah.
Well, so and then if they forfeit, that means they are taking a loss. So how many have they had? Because does it really add up to a championship? Like to actually get into the championship in the end?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't really think it would add up. I would feel like, because like football is very strict. Like you can't lose that many games to be in the playoff to start with. And then you have to beat those number one teams to win the championship there, or the playoff. I could think the same thing with basketball. You can't lose 10 games and still be in the championship. So I don't really think it really adds up.
Yeah. And I didn't like Nathan how he was talking to Lucas either. Like
move on.
Saying that the guys would walk through fire for him, but is he gonna make them do that? And like that, the guys deserve a shot at staying, and Whitey does too.
Then don't forfeit the game.
Yeah, well, because he tells Lucas they'll help him get through this, but they can't forfeit the season. Like he would be the reason that they would when they don't have to.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why he said that.
Well, and two, like, then why did you tell Whitey that, Nathan? Like, if you're also concerned with your future, as you should be, why would you? Plus, I mean, let's be honest, I don't think Lucas would go through fire for them. He doesn't even know the guys on the team.
Well, he went through fire for Dan, so.
Dan. Well, he knows Dan.
Yeah, but he doesn't like Dan, like the team.
No, he doesn't even know these people on the team. Do you know the people on the team?
No, but he likes them still better than Dan, probably.
That's my point. You don't even know the people on the team.
Well,
also,
I knew some of them, but they all left.
I have a question. We're now way into basketball. When does skills come in? Like this is their senior year.
Well, yeah, doesn't he only join the team because Lucas leaves the team? It's like they need like another good player, and then I think Lucas tells Whitey about skills, or Nathan does. Somebody does, one of them, and he kind of does the same thing like Lucas and goes to see skills at the river court or something. I think.
Isn't it because he needs to get into like he needs a scholarship or something?
Probably that too, but I feel like they really needed another player after losing Lucas too.
Yeah, they needed somebody that we knew who he was.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's really just Nathan out there, we'd all be like half asleep. I mean, we love Nathan, but it's like, all right, you're just one person. But when you have like somebody else to like look at, you're like, okay, I can watch these two.
Yeah, because like I said, I knew other players, but they all left. Jake.
Yeah, Tim.
Tim, and then Drew Seeley's character, even though we didn't really see much of him, but I still knew him at least, the actor.
Yeah,
but,
like you could actually look at him. All these other people, you're like, I don't know your name.
Right. So
what's crazy is like they clearly have names. Remember, Brooke put them all on the closet door, but it's like I don't know who these people are. Also,
in the boy draft, yeah.
I have kind of an issue with this. Tree Hill is supposed to be like clearly one of the best teams. Otherwise, Nathan wouldn't be on it. What happened to last year? All those boys that got suspended. Wouldn't they have come back this year? Secondly, On the court, it's like 5 players. I have an issue with this because when who was it? Nathan looks at the bench and Lucas isn't there or something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, nobody's on the bench.
Right.
How is it you only have enough guys for to play? I was like,
yeah. Well, there was
have way more because you got the 5 on the court,
mm-hmm.
but nobody's on the bench. Like you would have like 10 more on the bench waiting to play.
Right.
If you're that if your school's that good, you would have that many.
Right. I'm trying to see.
Because I just thought that was weird.
There was one guy on the bench that Whitey called in after Lucas said he wasn't going to play.
So they have 6 players?
Yeah, but that's all I saw.
They have 6 players.
Right.
6 players? That's it? What happens when somebody gets injured?
I don't know.
Oh my God. And you have to think too, like, how many are seniors? Like, they should at least have some juniors on the team. That is called varsity. Varsity is juniors and seniors. And if you're good as a sophomore, like if you're not good, if you're great as a sophomore, you can move up. But typically they like to keep you at JV. Like our school, like clearly Tree Hill wasn't like our school, into the fact that I don't know if you remember this, but for basketball, we had freshman team, then we had JV, and then varsity. And so clearly they don't, because Nathan went right up to varsity freshman year. Like he didn't even play freshman year. Like he didn't play on a freshman team. He didn't play JV. He just moved right up. And so, and clearly they don't have enough people for varsity, which it just, I don't get it. How do you not even have enough to play? That's when you'd have to no. That is when you'd have to forfeit if you don't have enough for like an injury.
Right.
I mean, that's the time to forfeit. And plus, but when they were cleaning the gym, they had way more than 6 players because Nathan wasn't even cleaning. So there was way more guys in there than 5.
Right.
Or I mean 4, because you can't count Lucas because he was somebody you saw. Like he was the one having the scenes. But all the background people, there was more than 4 people.
Yeah, when it comes to background characters, I don't really pay attention to who's there and who's not there.
I know, but then next time you're gonna see a game and then you're gonna see like 5 on the bench. It's gonna be like, what? Were they all sick?
Right.
I'm sorry, they all can't be sick.
Yeah, and then outside, Mouth and Rachel are walking when she suddenly stops in her tracks because she sees a poster of her younger self in a bathing suit. And the text
happened very quick.
Yeah, because when did Brooke even have time to do this? Because it couldn't have been before the game, because Rachel would have saw it then, most likely.
Yeah, and she's cheerleading right now, so yeah, it was weird.
So unless she had.
And I'm just saying, like, it happened real quick from last episode of her taking it to this one.
Right.
I was like, what was it, overnight?
Well, would it be a week since the cabin episode?
Probably. But I don't know. Because I don't know. Because I've looked up basketball schedules. A lot of them are like 2 games a week sometimes.
Oh, yeah. So I guess a few days she could have had.
So, yeah. I mean, if they're playing on a Tuesday, they could.
Yeah. Yeah, so the text reads, guess who? Find out soon on the poster. And, Mouth asks who is it? And Rachel answers someone she used to know, someone like Jimmy, who's gone now. And rips it off. She says Brooke did this. So, of course, Mouth goes back inside to ask Brooke what she's doing to Rachel. And Brooke says after what happened here tonight with Lucas, she thinks she has a little more on her mind than his skank infatuation. And Mouth says it's not fair. She's done nothing to her. So then, of course, I guess Mouth forgot at least the last thing that Rachel did that was kind of similar to her with the whole time capsule tape release.
Well, and after the time capsule, remember when like everybody, I mean, she had to make it, remember she
Positive.
had to, yeah, she make it positive. So like her body was plastered it's just like, it wouldn't have happened if somebody named Rachel wouldn't have done it. Plus, why is Mouth, like from last episode, Mouth was all like against Rachel and telling her like, she only feels guilty and like going off on her, right? As he should have. But then now, all of a sudden, like a switch, he's like protective over her. And what?
I mean, he did forgive her at the end of the episode last time, but
it was a very fast switch of like, boom, now all of a sudden we're going to just care so much about Rachel. And also, couldn't Rachel just play it as, I don't know who that is.
Right, yeah. And then too, Brooke had receipts anyways of things she did even before that, with stealing her squad, entering her in Rogue Vogue. And then
the only thing I didn't get was the boyfriend thing, because she did push Lucas to date Rachel. Or,
right.
She did get herself in that mess as she shouldn't have, but she did, because that's what Brooke does. But she did ruin that one. So I mean, I will give Rachel that one, but the rest of them, Rachel is. I don't like it. So, but I will say, when Mouth says, I don't know if it's later when he says this about, didn't you learn anything from Jimmy? And,
it was here.
And my point was too, I'm surprised that the writers did this a couple episodes after, for the simple fact that the school is still supposed to be healing. The students are still supposed to be healing. Some kids don't even go back to school ever, or they go back 5 months later. Like, it doesn't happen overnight where they go back to school like that. Because, I mean, like the Oxford school shooting, those kids, a lot of them didn't go back for a long time. And if they went back at all. And so, I couldn't imagine where they would just go back like a week later, like, oh, like all of them, like the people that were in the classroom, I could see being off for a long time. But my point is, like, given what had happened and given how it's not even the whole Jimmy, did what he did and stuff. It's the whole fact that they were all supposed to learn something that day. And the fact that Brooke was a bully. And this is what a bully would do. And you're going to do it a couple episodes later.
Yeah, I guess she didn't learn the lesson.
I mean, like I could see them doing it next season, maybe. For revenge. But I couldn't see it happening a couple episodes later, because I'm like, you're reverting Brooke back to her bully ways. And I get it's for one person, it's not for everyone, but it's still rude, because you just would think that the school would, still be on alert. Like the kids would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just couldn't see like where they would be like this just after a couple weeks.
Right.
Could you? I feel like the students would still be scared to death, and like, is there somebody else that's going to feel this way, or what's going to happen? So I don't know. I just thought, and I think too, because they made the school shooting so big, as in it mattered, it was an episode that truly mattered. Don't you think kids that watch it and have been through it don't you think they would be like, no, like they wouldn't approve of this because it only happened a couple episodes later?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't know. I get why Brooke did it, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's too soon.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was too soon. I mean, I know it was wrong, but I just thought it was too soon. Now, Mouth was taking it as you should have learned something. Not that it was too soon. It was just that you should have learned something. But I didn't care that she did it because Rachel's done 10 times worse. But and also Rachel could just play it as that's not her. But the fact that it happened, I just thought it was too soon. I didn't think that it was truly wrong of Brooke to do it. I just thought it was too soon. Where Mouth was taking it as it's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, Brooke does say the stuff she did.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to think too, like Rachel doesn't stop.
Right.
Is Mouth gonna confront her in season 4 for all the crap she does? Like
No, I can't remember.
like he's going at Brooke?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, Rachel tries to steal Nathan. It's like
You're right. Mm-hmm.
her thing doesn't like she just doesn't stop.
And
That's
then
why it's like you're gonna tell Brooke she needs
Mhm.
to stop. But you're not gonna tell Rachel?
Yeah, and then Rachel also messes up Haley too with her tutoring.
Yeah, like
Job.
she loses that, which also
Mhm.
could help her with a scholarship. That's what I mean. She's ruining people's lives. And the fact
Mhm.
that Mouth doesn't confront her then, like especially that he knows she did the time capsule, you would think that later on, when all of it comes out, that he would be like, saying the same speech to her, only 10 times different because you're the one that released the time capsule. Didn't you
Mhm.
learn a thing? Like, but then he's telling Brooke, basically, she should have learned something.
Mhm.
What? Here's the thing. If Brooke was doing this to someone else,
Mhm.
some other student that we don't know about, I could see, like, I would be like 100% she's wrong. But it's Rachel who has done terrible things and is going to continue to do terrible things. It's one thing if Rachel had learned her lesson too,
Mhm.
but we know she doesn't.
Right.
So I think that's my problem too, is Brooke's getting a lot of flack from Mouth when Rachel doesn't stop either.
Yeah, and then she kind of ruins Haley and Nathan's wedding as well.
Yeah. I mean, she kind of broke Little Mouth's heart in this episode.
Mhm.
So, she's just bad. Like, she didn't learn a thing.
Right.
Well, I mean, do you think he should be giving Brooke such a hard time?
No, if he was able to forgive Rachel for releasing the time capsule. No.
And losing his best friend?
Mhm. Yeah, and then at the apartment, Haley and Nathan are in bed. Haley says now that they're living there, they should probably try unpacking at some point. And, Nathan points out they've been busy. It's so much better than moving in. And Haley says she can't wait to renew her vows with him. And then Nathan says he wants, that second chance. He wants to give her the wedding she's always dreamed of. And she says she always already had it. But he says, that she told him apparently that she wanted to get married in the same church that her parents got married, with everything, the bridesmaids, groomsmen, flowers,
When did she say all this?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. But
Because when they talked about getting married, they didn't say any of this.
right.
All she basically said was like she wanted him and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they only talked about like having kids one day. There was none of this.
Right.
Because didn't one of them say like something like I would marry you tonight, and then boom, they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just more feels like what would be deleted scenes or something.
Plus, don't you think too that if Nathan truly knew that that's the wedding Haley wanted,
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that he would have done that the first
Yeah.
time?
Yeah, he would have.
I'm like, you would have said, let's wait a month, let's plan a wedding, and let's get married. Because they already had Haley's parents' blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what? Well, you would have done this the first time, Nathan. That's just who you like. Nathan would have done anything for her the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make any sense that he's saying it now. Like, I want to give you the wedding you dreamed of. You would have done that if that's the wedding she dreamed of.
Mm-hmm.
But all she wanted was to marry you. So it doesn't. And plus, like, remember when he did that whole like carriage ride and stuff for homecoming or whatever it was, and like he was that thoughtful and planned out and sweet. He would have
Mm-hmm.
done the same thing for their wedding if that's truly what she wanted.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I could see them having a conversation after they got
Yeah.
married. Like, I wish, you know, we could, like, if we could do it all over again, I wish we could have done it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that because then here's your second chance. But not to say you would have done it or this is how she would have won it the first time around
Mm-hmm.
because you would have done it that way then.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense. I just feel like they could have worded it differently. Like, I remember the time that you said that you could have done it differently the first time or something, because then we would know it was an afterthought conversation,
Mm-hmm.
not a before they ever got married conversation.
Right. Nathan is literally the definition of if he wanted to, he would. So yeah, so then they
Then they
hear a
hear a
noise.
noise.
Mm-hmm. Yep, outside the bedroom.
Oh my god, but Nathan. First of all, he looks really good. Anyway, I know you hate when I say that.
No, it's fine. I just don't feel that way. So
He looks good shirtless. So, and I'm not gonna lie, like I would be like 100% okay with him protecting me.
mm-hmm.
But it was funny though, because like he grabs the bat and he goes out there. It's just Cooper.
Yep. Again, helping himself to some beer.
How did he get in?
I don't know, but he's always going in there and getting beer and asking how much is this and this.
But my point was like this whole apartment was Brooke's.
Right.
How did he get a key? Like Nathan just moved in. How did he get a key?
Yeah, don't they change the locks for every new person that moves in?
Yeah, but Brooke handed him the key.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you would think that Brooke would have got new keys when she moved in.
Yeah.
So yeah, they shouldn't be the same ones.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was weird. I'm like, how is it he has a key to get in?
Yeah, and at 1:00 in the morning.
And how is it they didn't hear him until then?
Yeah, because he has the beer. He wants to make food because apparently he's starving.
No, but like when Nathan walks out, he doesn't open the door. The door was already open, like their bedroom door.
Yeah, it was ajar, yeah.
It was already open. So I'm like, you would have heard him. Like you would have heard the door open. You would have heard him stumble because it was like dark in there. Like, I'm sorry, but you would have heard noise, not just when he is already made food.
Right.
I don't know. I just thought that was a little odd. I was like, the whole time he was in there and you didn't know he was in there. Kind of weird.
Yeah. And then at Peyton's house, her phone rings. It's Pete. And, because he's been hard to get a hold of. So this is the first time they've talked in who knows how long.
Since last episode.
Yeah, but it
well,
seems
remember
longer.
but it's only been it's only been either a couple days or a week since the last episode.
Well, that's still a long time when you like someone and you're a teenager. So,
Yeah,
she acts.
but he is like a rock star kind of thing. So
I'm just saying it feels forever for her because she's wondering if her voicemails freaked him out.
no,
But
it's called being on tour. Like you're too busy.
right, I know I'm just from Peyton's side, that's how it feels. And then she tells him she misses him, and if this is crazy because he's always doing something, and she can't
Yes,
get him on the phone.
it is crazy because you're 17
Mm-hmm.
and he's not.
Yeah. And then he says he's outside her window. So then she goes over and sees that the limo's across the street. And she tells him to go to the front door and be quiet. So she puts her sweater on. But then when she opens her bedroom door, her dad is right there. So, of course, we see the next scene where Payne is mad that her dad sent sent Pete away. And Larry makes a point that Pete shows up, at 1 a.m. in a limo, tattooed from head to toe, looking for his daughter. Though tattoo shouldn't be relevant to this, but either way, he says she's lucky that all he did was send him away. And Payne tries to explain that he's a big deal because he's Pete from Fallout Boy, and Larry says, well, now he's Pete from Get Out of
Get
Town
out of
Boy.
town boy. Oh my god. So I love Larry because every time
Mm-hmm.
it comes up and they always
Mm-hmm.
say Fall Out Boy, he's always gotta say something else.
Yeah, he can't remember.
No,
But I
it's
think
just every time he says it, I'm like, you're
mm-hmm.
on point because it's something that's happened or whatever. And it's just so funny. And especially of how he says it too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I love him.
Yeah.
But I do love and agree with him when he said like like he wants to know Pete the boy.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he's got records and all of this. Like he wants to know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I like that part because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's true. Especially like when it's your daughter. Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
want him to be nice to her and care for her and love her. And you can do all that without having, a record label and all the success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like before that when he's talking about rules, but then says, where's Brooke?
I was wondering, where was she?
Mm-hmm. And then she pops up in the doorway, of course, and says that she was just like sleepwalking to explain where she's been. But Larry tells her nice trying to grab some bed. So he says, first, there's no boys in the bedroom ever, 9 p.m. curfew on weekdays, midnight on weekends. And if they are out after 10 on weekends, they call him because he needs to know where they are. And no parties without parental supervision, no alcohol. And then asks them if he needs to go over the ground rules for sex. And they, both yell out no, of course. And then he mentioned.
I had a thing with this though.
Hmm.
Do you remember when Brooke moved in or when Larry said you're going to be living here or whatever? There was no bed because
Right.
he was like, well, I'm getting 2 beds.
Mm-hmm.
And, because remember Peyton's like, where's my bed? All of a sudden, this is her bed. Like, this is the same bed. What?
No, it's the round bed that Brooke wanted.
It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the round bed?
It seemed to be because it's bigger, wider.
It looks like Peyton's bed.
I don't know, it seemed bigger to me.
So it was very confusing that I'm like, what happened on the single beds?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I did wonder because this was when was this that aired? 2000 what?
6.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wondered because Pete ended up marrying Ashley Simpson
Okay.
and then they divorced. But I was like, when was that? I'm
I
like,
don't know.
and it said they married in 2008.
Okay, so that was after this.
So they must have, yeah, but they dated.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have dated right after this, probably in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like confused because I'm like, I know it was in the early 2000s that Pete was with Ashley. And so I was like, because like you wouldn't do a storyline with a celebrity that is with somebody else. So I was just kind of confused when he was with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it would be a rude thing for their relationship.
Maybe, yeah.
You don't think so?
I don't know. Really depends. Everybody's different.
Especially because he's using his real name and his fame and all of that. He's using that on the show. It's not like he's playing a character. He's literally playing himself. So, yeah, I think that would be rude if they had done that. Well, okay. Like the Jonas Brothers, like if they would have pulled one of them and it's like, oh, we're gonna use your name and your reputation and all of this, and you're gonna play yourself, but yet you're with somebody else, but you're gonna be with our character. And they're not playing a character, they're playing themselves. That's weird. And that's disrespectful to their relationship. It's one thing to play a character, but to play yourself, and you're in a relationship, that's rude. So I'm really, truly hoping at this point they weren't in a relationship just because that'd be rude. Because, yeah, they could have been secretly together. But I'm hoping they weren't because that's rude.
The only comparison I can think of that would be similar to this is when it was only one episode though, but when Justin McCartney was on Hannah Montana and Miley was supposedly dating him, or Hannah Montana was dating him, even though he was a lot older than Miley and she was a minor. But
okay, but who is he dating in real life?
I don't know. This was like 2007, I think. So I don't know anything about his relationships back then. Do you? From 2007?
No.
First thing that came up was 2004 until 2007 was Katie Cassidy. I don't know who that is, but okay, maybe these aren't very accurate. I'm also seeing 2007, 2008. Well, that could have been right after, but Hayden Panettiere. Apparently, I don't know if these are accurate or what, but yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. But like I said, it was only one episode, so, and this was multiple for him, for Pete. Oops.
Yeah, and they're making it
a
huge thing.
Right.
You know, like he's got nobody else in his life when it's like, because again, they're using the tour and everything like all the same.
Yeah, I guess this must have been. This must have been like some big promotion thing for the band that they took advantage of to do.
But wasn't the band back then in this day and era very successful?
Yeah, they just maybe wanted to even broaden their audiences, expand it more, reach more
Because
people.
yeah, but didn't the cast always say like they kind of assumed or they felt like they were always on the brink of getting canceled?
Yeah, but that was just
So
normal for a show.
yep. Yeah, there are some shows that I feel like they probably know they're going another year. But this one, I feel like they didn't know. And so it's like, let's get Fall Out Boy because well, I mean, you have to remember they were competing against the OC. And the OC was doing very well.
Yeah, maybe there's a little
So
bit of both.
I think because like the OC had a guest star that was Paris Hilton for a brief moment. But it's like I don't know if they were trying to compete, like who can we get big that the OC doesn't have? And that's the other thing too. You have to try to get somebody on that same, because you're both teen dramas. They're both airing the same time. You have to get somebody that they don't have.
Right.
And because they're in California, they were able, I feel like, to get maybe more people than trying to fly somebody out to Wilmington to film.
Right.
So I feel like that was also a difference because it's easy if you're in California because it's like, oh, yeah, I can go down there for 45 minutes and, do like one little scene and leave. But to actually be like, no, I got to fly all the way out, spend like 2 days. That's a little different. Than LA or whatever. So I don't know. I just feel like they could have. Plus, remember, the OC was getting the awards. One Tree Hill really wasn't. And so, I mean, they talk about all the time of how they were compared to the OC. So I do wonder if maybe that was the problem. Like season 3, they're like, we got to step it up. We got to get Fall Out Boy. We have to try to get these big bands. We have to do an album. Like we have to do everything the OC is not doing. I just wonder.
Yeah, they already got couple musicians, so I really didn't see this was too much different besides for him having like a plot line with one of the main characters. So
Well, that's what was different. Was like it wasn't just another band. It was an actual storyline with it. But also too, Cynthia, like I was a kid back then. Do you know who all these other bands were?
What was that one? Jack's Mannequin? No. But the other ones that we saw that actually did have a little bit of talking between a character or two, yeah, like Sheryl Crow, Gavin DeGraw.
Sheryl Crow. Yeah, those two. But I mean, like other bands.
Yeah, Fall Out Boy.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, the one we all know is Fall Out Boy.
I can't even think of the other ones that showed up here, but yeah.
Yeah, but I was just like, okay.
I
don't know. I just feel like it's disrespectful if that person is with somebody. That's all. Because if you're that other person, you're gonna be like, really?
But it was funny how Larry brought up Pete to the girls. Because he says he calls him Pete from Fallout Shelter, even though he just said boy a second ago.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. He was. I don't think it's that he doesn't know that he's from Fall Out Boy. I think it's just the fact that he is making up everything that is happening. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
I told you he was so funny with the.
I feel like he's doing it on purpose too.
No, he is, because the girls are just like Fall Out Boy, and it's just like.
Right.
It's like when your parent like knows, but they're just trying to mess with you, and you're like, really?
And then so he tells Peyton that Pete can only visit the house during business hours.
Okay, so now this is a business deal?
Well, I think he meant like between curfew of what he mentioned before, yeah.
And how he said it. Also, I did think it was funny because when he was talking about like the ground rules, and then he was like, yeah, and Brooke, you're gonna need a different dad fantasy.
And points to the closet and everything. Yep.
And then she like freaks out.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, how did he know it was like a fantasy thing? It wasn't written on the door that it's a fantasy thing.
I don't know. Yeah, it could have easily been crushes, which it kind of was too. But yeah, I don't know.
Because I'm like, he was on point with that, but my point was, how does he even know about it? Like, it's just names under the girls' names on a closet door.
Yeah, it's not like because I don't think she wrote anything near his name that would have implied that. Like, I don't think she wrote Dilf or anything by his name.
She didn't. She just wrote their name. Know.
Yeah, so it's just their name. She didn't write anything above their name saying like fantasy list or whatever. Nope. So yeah, I don't know.
Nope, it just said Brooke. And then it said Peyton and names of people. And it was like, what? That's why I was so confused, because I'm like, why? Like, how does he know that? Because you wouldn't think twice about it. You would just see the names and then maybe question them, and then they'd have to come clean. But I just thought it was weird. I'm like, he knows? Like, it's not, unless he was there, like, listening.
Right.
I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny how he said it, but I just was a little like, how does he know?
Right.
But it was still all good. I
Mm-hmm.
liked it.
Yeah. And then back at the apartment, Cooper introduces himself to Haley while he gives her, and Nathan their breakfast. And he says that he always wanted to meet the girl who made his nephew crash a perfectly good race car. And Haley comes back with she always wanted to meet the uncle who let Nathan crash a race car. And then Cooper tells Nathan that she's tough and he likes her. And then he mentions that Deb's back in town, and Nathan says he knows because she called him, unlike, him, his uncle, who stormed into their apartment at 1 a.m.
But Cooper, though, when he said that he met a smoking hot girl, she's 26, she's a model.
Mm-hmm. And that Nathan knows his type.
But I was just like, okay, because I'm like, here it is. We know exactly who it is.
Yep, and she's house sitting for her parents.
And so, like, here's the thing: is like, so he came back because he's dating her. Okay, that's the reason why he's back. Not for any other reason.
No, he's back for Deb. He said that he implied that he met Rachel here, and that she said that she's in town, house sitting her parents' house. That's what it was.
Okay, it was just kind of weird. I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's how he met her, because Rachel didn't go anywhere else.
Yeah, so I'm saying he met her here in Tree Hill, and she said that she's in Tree Hill from New York because she's house sitting his parents, and that would explain why she's in the house by herself.
She said she's from New York.
Yeah, trying to make herself sound better, because you can't really model like the way that she would want to, at least in Tree Hill. So yeah, so then Nathan asks him if he's staying for a while, and he says yeah. Then tells Nathan if he saw this girl, he know why too, and then tells Haley he's sorry. So yeah, he wants to stick around. Yeah, he wants to stick around now.
Yeah, he's staying because of her. He's not just staying because I want to visit my sister and nephew. It's for a girl. Like that's a good uncle.
Yeah, Deb was his initial reason why, but now he really wants to stay around longer because of Rachel. Yeah.
No, I think he came to visit, but then he met Rachel, and then he's like, I'm gonna stay. Yeah, but I don't think it was. I think it was a visit, like a weekend, to visit Deb, because it's all it's ever been.
Yeah, no, because at the end, Deb says that Cooper's living with her, staying with her, so he's gonna be there for a while.
Probably once he realized he likes this model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then he tells Nathan he's sorry about Keith and asks how Lucas is taking it. Nathan says not good, and Haley mentions that he walked off the court today, so they had to forfeit the game. And Cooper says Lucas will be okay eventually. He just needs time. And that's
I like that Cooper asked about Lucas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Deb walks up to Karen's cafe where there's a pile of newspapers and the sign that says closed.
Karen's cafe closed. I was like, oh, but it's been closed. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah, and Deb hasn't, yeah. So then she goes to see Karen at her house. She apologizes for not making it back in time for Keith's funeral.
I have a question. Look, you know what I wanted to see?
I
wanted to see Deb's scene with Nathan, because like we had a school shooting. Your son was in the building with the shooter, and yet there's no scene of her checking in on her son.
No, we didn't see a scene with them together at all, even if it wasn't about the shooting. So,
but my point was, when you come back, your first thing is going to be you're going to come back and make sure your kid is okay. But the fact that she's coming back to check on Karen, like, I want to see you come check on your son. Be the mom that you keep telling us that you are, of how Nathan's your everything. Well, if Nathan's your everything, show me, because I'm not seeing it. Because I still say, when it happened, your ass should have come home. Here's the thing. I know she was hiding and all of this, but my point is, forget the hiding. Something bad happens, you're supposed to show up. You're not supposed to keep hiding. Like, that's when you become selfish. That's when you can become so about yourself and not about your kid. But now she's gonna come back. She
Right.
couldn't come back for the funeral. She couldn't come back, make sure Nathan was okay. She had to come back a month later.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid. Also,
Right.
then why come back at all?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to come back right after to make sure your kid is okay, why come back at all?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't even have that conversation.
Right. So then she asks Karen, how she's doing, but then Karen doesn't really give her an answer. So she says that the important thing is that they get her back on her feet, and that she's there to tell her that if she wants to, help her with anything, just let her know.
But then Karen, though, when she said, "You've done enough," and then, Keith told her that, she tried to kill Dan.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, "That's, it was a terrible mistake." And then, she regrets it and stuff. And then Karen, though, when she said that, Lucas went back in there and she could have lost both of them. Or
To fix her
I was like,
mistake. Mm-hmm.
yep. Well, and then Deb's like, well, I didn't know he would go back in there. It doesn't matter. Anybody could have went back in there. Like, anybody could have went in there.
Mm-hmm.
So she would be responsible for whoever's death.
Right. Yeah, because she didn't even know Lucas was there. She thought it was only her and Dan, too. So.
But then she said, thank God Lucas is okay. And Karen's like, he is not okay. First of all, how would Karen know that? She doesn't even ask him. She doesn't even talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's always hiding from him. And then, he's trying to check in on her. And, his main focus is his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And he can really only grieve away from her.
Right.
Yeah, that's knowing your kid is okay. Or is not okay.
Mm-hmm. And then Karen had to tell Deb that the only difference between her and Jimmy is that he was successful. So Karen doesn't know how wrong she is about that, because with knowing our context, we know that he was only successful
with himself.
So and that would be wrong if she said that about that situation. But yeah, she doesn't know the whole picture yet. And then Mouth goes to see Rachel, and she tells him to speak softly because she has a hangover. And he says this belongs to her. It's the original picture from the flyer that Brooke took.
And she said that she hated herself. And then this is where she talks about her surgery that she had.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And some other things done. Which,
here's the thing.
And Mouth knows it's her, yeah.
Because she's talked about everything she had gotten done. If you don't like something about yourself, I believe that you should be able to change it. As long as you have the money for it, you should be able to change it.
Yeah, no, the risks. Yeah.
I just don't think you should alter yourself to look like a cartoon. That's all. But I don't think she is.
Right.
She still looks like a person.
She
doesn't look like a cartoon character.
Right.
And you know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, she only altered herself to look skinnier and stuff. And she got a boob job, but so many people do that. So that's just not something, you think twice about now. But I'm just like, she didn't like the way she looked. She wanted to feel more confident. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think it's bad when people try to rub it in your face, throw that in your face, that it was bad because you didn't like what you looked like. You had money.
Yeah, well, it's not only too that she was kind of made fun of for the way she looked. I think that was one of her reasons why she did it, which is a sad part of it all.
Yeah, but if you have money,
you
should, if you want, you should be able to change yourself. Because, I mean, I think everybody has something they don't like. And it's if you have money, you could go and change it. And everyone has that. So the fact that Rachel did, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
And again, she didn't alter herself into a cartoon. So that's where I would have been like, okay, nowadays, there's too much filler, there's too much Botox, there's too much this and that. But it's Rachel's none of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she looks great. And so what if she wanted to change?
Right.
So now the only thing that, she changed that was bad maybe was now she's a total when she shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Like how she treats people.
Right.
That's what I'm more concerned with is maybe, that little girl probably wasn't a bully,
Mm-hmm.
but Rachel is. That's where I have the twist of like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm concerned about. Like Mouth is all concerned that she changed herself, but I'm concerned about the fact that she changed who she was on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you would think that with her surgeries that, she kind of got a big head in thinking she was all that now, just because she looked the way that she would think typical pretty quote unquote girls will look. So it
Yeah,
just changed it for the worst.
she saw like, oh, like now that I kind of look like a model or like girls on TV,
Mm-hmm.
now I can act like I'm the best thing in the room because
Mm-hmm.
she came on the scene thinking
Yeah.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like tone it down. Here's the thing too. You would think that like you changing yourself on the outside, you would still feel a type of way of like not judging others
Mm-hmm.
because people judged you.
Right.
Because here's the thing, like when people make comments and they belittle you and they say nasty things about your appearance or whatever, it doesn't go away. You'll have that for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do, it'll still be with you. So the fact that like Rachel's trying her hardest of like, I got these surgeries and I hated myself, and they still said the things they said about you.
Mm-hmm.
And but the fact that you're rude and calling like Brooke fat, like, are you kidding me? Like,
Right.
like that kind of thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then knowing that that's who you were when you were little, but then you're going to call somebody who literally
Mm-hmm.
could be a model. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. Brooke could be a model. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to say she's fat?
Right.
Well, then I am like the obese. I mean, if Brooke is considered fat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of thing. Like, why are you judging somebody who, by the way, looks perfect? You're going to judge them
Right.
when you were judged.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, when Brooke throws in like about a nose job to her, it's like she didn't know she got a nose job.
Mm-hmm.
Like those digs that Brooke didn't know that now she knows.
Yeah.
But Rachel shouldn't be making digs when she looked like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when Rachel says that she likes to know her, and Mouse says, "Does she really?" Because other than him, she doesn't really let too many people into her life, which
That
she had
is,
a point there.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she has the squad, but she doesn't really. We don't see her hang out with them anymore, and um, so it's
Yeah,
just been
because
him.
she had what, Bevan, but she doesn't hang out with Bevan. She
Mm-hmm.
like those are more like her school friends. The school friends that you hang out with at school, but you never see after. But then you have your real friends that you see both at school and at home. Yeah, those are just her school friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Rachel tells Mouth not to judge her. He didn't know her. She has self-esteem now. And Mouth says that's great, but isn't it more about being the kind of person who she is on the inside, And Rachel thinks that's a bunch of crap, but then Rachel asks Mouth if he could snap his fingers and look like Lucas. Would he? She assumes he would.
That was a
And
burn.
yeah. And she tells him not to say he wouldn't because he'd be lying, and Mouth ends up saying that if he could snap his fingers and get something, it wouldn't be how he looks.
Now why did
But
we
if
pick Lucas?
what?
Why did we pick Lucas? Is it because like Chad was like the heartthrob of the show?
Maybe, and just because he's friends with Lucas, so he knows how many girls he's dated, and I guess maybe.
How many has he dated? We only know Brooke and Peyton, and it's like we're
And Anna
like
and Nikki.
Nathan was the one
Mhm.
that was with everyone.
Yeah, but we saw Lucas be with more people, so that's probably why too.
And how did he get there? It wasn't because of his looks. It was because of his popularity.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing to do with his looks because he looked the same
Right.
as when the first show first started and he had nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my thing is why shouldn't that have been like a Nathan comment, not a
Yeah.
Lucas? Because Lucas still had the same face, the same body, the same everything, but had nobody because he was not popular. All of a sudden, he joins the team, he's popular, and boom, now he's got all these girls. Like, that's what changed for Lucas. It wasn't his looks. They weren't going after him because of his looks. It was his popularity. Yes, obviously the looks are still a part of it, but it's not like he had all of that when he was not popular.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like when she said that because I'm like, no. And I wish Mouth would have said that. Like, just so you know, he didn't have all these girls after him when he was the River Court boy,
Mm-hmm.
when he was Dan's other kid. You know, he didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would talk to him.
Yeah.
So that's where the difference is maybe they should have thrown that as, wouldn't you look like Nathan? Because Nathan's the one that gets all the girls
Mm-hmm.
after him, whether he wants it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Not Lucas.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the Lucas that started the show is not, he still looks the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then they go on to say that like Mel says that if it was about how somebody looks, like should everyone who doesn't like the way they look have surgery? And Rachel says of course not, but if they do, it makes them feel good about themselves. Is he going to hold it against them? And she tells Mel that the choices she made were extreme because the surgeries were expensive and painful and they came with risks. But now that Brooke knows about her and her surgeries and all that, everyone's going to look at her differently, like she's some kind of Frankenstein. Which I don't think they would, because we know Frankenstein to be obvious that he's made of different parts with the scars that he has everywhere. Well, Rachel, nobody knew a thing until now. So I don't know why they would see her that way now.
Also, how does Brooke know she had surgery?
I don't know, just by guessing. I don't know. We saw the
Because
picture.
she could have very easily went on a diet and exercised and, starved herself. I mean, she did say she starved herself, but it's like she could have very easily did that, not surgery. So the fact that all of a sudden she says, well, she knows about my surgeries. She saw a picture of you when you were younger, but that doesn't mean you didn't outgrow it or you didn't eat healthy. And I,
Yeah, the only thing she could have maybe figured out was the stomach staples, but besides that, she maybe probably didn't know anything else.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like unless, but we didn't see any of those like scars or anything on her when she is in a bikini and stuff or topless. Like that's another thing is like, I feel like you probably would have seen that.
Yeah. Especially for the stomach staple that she supposedly had.
Yeah. And then don't you think Brooke would have said something then? Like what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So, or Lucas when she was, topless. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like if that were true, and she would have had something that they would have noticed,
Mm-hmm.
somebody would have said something.
Yeah. And then Mel says that he doesn't feel that way about her, and Rachel doesn't believe him because she says that he looks at her already, differently. And she just tells Mel this is who she is now and tears up the picture of her old self and says that she's dead. So then Lucas is at the river court when Cooper walks up, saying he thought the game was more exciting. And Lucas says he heard he was in town, and Cooper says he knew that he would find Lucas here because.
So, with this scene, I'm glad that Cooper was helping Lucas. But here's my thing. It's great now because he's trying to get him back on his feet and he's talking to him about like, like losing his racing and everything because he let Nathan crash the car and all of this, and how all of a sudden just he woke up and didn't have it anymore. And that's all great that he's telling Lucas to try to like get him out of this, but at the same time, where is he in season 5 when Nathan is a complete jerk for months because of basketball that he did to himself? Like, where is that Cooper? I want that Cooper. That Cooper should have showed up because he went on and on and on for months. I'm like, what? Where? And this is only Lucas at what, a month? And he's grieving over a true loss of somebody. Where Cooper, it was racing, and Nathan, it was basketball. They like Lucas or Nathan lost an actual person in season 5. So, and again, he did it to himself. So I'm just like, this whole time watching this, that's all I could think about was the future and where in the hell was Cooper? Because Nathan needed somebody like Cooper in season 5 to snap his ass back.
Yeah, well, I think in Drama Queens, the actor who played Cooper said that he was supposed to come back, but I forgot the reason why he didn't. Because he's supposed to have a storyline with Brooke, I guess, like date her for a while or something like that. So maybe they did have a plan of him coming and.
But they could have had, but that would have been like an actual relationship. I'm talking about one scene or one episode like this where he comes back and snaps Nathan's little self back to normal. Like, that's what I mean. Is like, he's doing everything right here with Lucas. But I just wish he would have done that to his own nephew in season 5. And I feel like he could have went even harder because it was his own nephew. Like, Lucas isn't his nephew, but Nathan is. And so I just wish Cooper would have come back for season 5, at least like the first episode or something, to like get Nathan back. Because, you know, like all this talk he's doing, I'm like, this is the same conversation you should be saying to Nathan. Because it's only been like a month and he's basically, you know, trying to get him to move on. And it's like, what about your little nephew come in a few years from now?
And then Haley and Nathan go to the church where they want to get married. And they're so happy about renewing their vows and having a big wedding. Nathan mentions that there's one catch, though. The church will only allow them to have the,
if they take a test.
Yep, ceremony there, yep.
Okay. Is that even true?
A
test?
I saw this done on another show, too, so I don't know if that confirms that this does happen. What was
show?
It, though? I can't even tell you. I watched so many. Who was trying to get married? That's the question there I would start off with. But yeah, so maybe that's true. I don't know. Like my parents tried to get married in a church, but there's completely different reasons that had nothing to do with this that they couldn't. So I don't know. Maybe probably depends on the church itself and the like specific religion, maybe, probably. So they didn't specify here what this church, you know, what religion that was for. So who knows? But
because I do know that in order, you know, usually to get married in a church, you have to go through counseling, pre-marriage counseling. But I didn't know you have to take a test. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, like I said, my parents, there was completely different reasons too. There was no counseling either. So that wasn't even the reason.
But yeah, I mean, I do know, like for Catholics and stuff, it's counseling to try to help you before you get married. But I'm like, a test?
Oh, I wasn't getting married.
Compatible?
Right. I just remembered it wasn't getting married. It's about my brother getting baptized. That was the reason. But it had something to do with the getting married. But yeah. Which was stupid, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was weird. That they have to take a test to see if they're compatible. Like,
Mhm,
and also, like, don't they always say like opposites attract? And
mhm.
I mean, and and here's the thing, like, I feel like you wouldn't even need a test because if you go through counseling or whatever, you would know exactly what their differences are, how they work through it, all of this crap. You wouldn't need a test because you would be counseling them to know, like just meeting them, talking to them for a few hours, you would know the differences and all of this and how they cope and deal with everything. You would know all that. So I don't know why you need a test to determine it.
I think the show might have been Young Sheldon or um, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. I think that might have been the show or show one of them recently that I watched. So had the same thing. So yeah. Um, Either way, this wasn't an actual written test. I mean, they had to take the written test, but that wasn't the real test, as we know later on. But yeah.
Mhm.
But I did like how Haley said that she'll do anything just to marry Nathan again. So and
You're
then
already married.
right. Well, I mean, yeah, married again
I
in the
know,
church.
but
Yeah.
you're already married.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter what anybody says, you're already married.
Mm-hmm. And then Payne is at home when she gets a call from Pete. At least she thinks it is until she hears that it's somebody else, Bill, the tour manager, apparently, and it says that Pete wanted to call her himself.
Isn't it
But
the creator?
oh yeah, I remember now. So luckily we didn't have to hear him, but Hillary did, unfortunately. So apparently, yeah,
What?
so because wasn't it just Peyton talking? We didn't hear the
No, we heard
voice.
him. That's why I said. That's why I said it sounded like the creator of the show.
Oh, I just remember because she talked about it on the podcast.
Because I
Oh
know,
yeah,
like,
now I remember. Now I remember. Yeah, okay.
I know that he played
I was,
Max, the guy who did
I was thinking of the Pete talk.
the
Yeah.
the CD, the video store, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
CD store, whatever. I know that he was like worked there or managed it or whatever.
Yeah.
I know he
After
did that, and I know he
apparently.
came
Mm-hmm.
back as Max in season 5 to talk
Mm-hmm.
to Peyton, but I didn't know that he also did the voice for the manager for Fall Out Boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess because it was just like a last minute thing, and maybe they didn't have anybody else to do it. But and I also know he's not the only creator to kind of insert himself in multiple things like that in his own show. But
Yeah, Taylor Sheridan.
oh no, I was thinking about um Dan Schneider from Nickelodeon.
He did?
Yeah,
When?
what was I thinking of? Just he would be on phone calls with characters like on I can only think of the Amanda show. And I know he's done voices in his other shows, like random voices on telephones or on speakers or background voices or just something like everywhere. So
He did?
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You'd watch like a couple episodes from any show, you'll find him at least somewhere.
Well, and I know like on like Taylor Sheridan for Yellowstone,
Hmm.
fans did not like it because it's like he had his own storyline and it's like, who is he? Like
I don't even
if
know
he's
any of that. So
no, like if he's not a part of like think if like somebody comes on One Tree Hill and it's like you're not
hmm
the main cast, but all of a sudden you've got the storyline and no one gives a crap about like that
hmm
kind of thing. Like you really don't have a part for the show, but
right.
you're making yourself one because you want to be on the show, sort of thing. That's a little
Hmm
like everybody was like, we could have just cut that out. Like fans
hmm
didn't like it because they're like, why? You know, you added a character for you to play, but then like it doesn't really add up to the show.
Right. Well, I don't know Yellowstone or any of that. That's why I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah.
No, but it is weird. I'm like, I agree.
Hmm
Like I could see if there was a reason why your character needed to be on, but to just insert yourself and actually have like a big storyline. It's not even like I'm in for like one minute sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little weird. Like, at least here, he was only doing a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like he was doing a storyline.
Right.
Because that's a little weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so apparently Pete has tickets for Payne to fly out to Chicago to see him because that's where he's playing at the moment. And that she would be doing him a favor because the band thinks that she's his Snuffleupagus, however you say that. Reference from before about the Sesame Street character. But then when Peyton was trying to tell, the manager to pass along a message to Pete, he hung up already. And it was just to say that she misses him. And then Whitey gets to Karen's to see her. He asks her if she's going to let an old man stand out in the cold or if she's going to let him in. And she just says, suit yourself. So,
Oh my God, Whitey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, though. When he brought up, so when he brings up how, like, he lost his wife too and everything, and Karen was like, you had her for however long she said.
Mm-hmm.
And
she said she only had kids for a few weeks.
He said, and whose fault is that?
Mm-hmm. And then she slapped him. Yeah.
I about fell out of my chair.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I've been saying that. Like, Karen, you could have had Keith way longer than you did.
Yeah, at least 2 years or a year ago.
But don't you think that if she would have said something like when Lucas was 5, he would have also said, oh, I'm in love with you too. And because we know he always has been in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like,
she just didn't know.
It's like, I agree. Well, don't you think you do know if the two people that are always together, like raising a child kind of, and they are never in a relationship, don't you kind of think that they like each other?
I don't know, maybe.
Like, think about it. Neither one of them really had a relationship. So the fact that obviously it's because they liked each other and they liked this little family that they had without realizing it. But it was so funny. And then when she slaps him, I was like, I knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, she has a problem with the truth, and she has a problem with slapping people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And then after taking a second, Whitey tells her that he's glad to see that she's still in there. And then lets her know that he only said that because he knows, the guilt she's carrying around, and she's wrong to feel that because feeling guilty isn't going to bring Keith back.
I did like when he told her, like, you gave him, the life he always wanted. You gave him a son,
mm-hmm.
And a family. And I agree with that because Keith loved that life.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he left that life.
Right.
After Jules.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he was like, he yelled at both of them, like, yell at yourself. But yeah, it was so funny. But I like that he was saying all that because she needed to hear it all.
Mm-hmm. And then at the church, Haley and Ethan get the test. And then elsewhere, Mouth is taking another poster of younger Rachel off a wall at school. And Rachel comes along and he tells her that was the last one. And then he tells her that when they were together during the blackout, he loved talking to her and it didn't matter that he couldn't see her because that night it was only about her. It wasn't only about her looks. It was about her heart, her sense of humor, the way she saw the world. And he felt like she knew him. And he hated that when the lights came back on, that it kind of ruined that. And then Rachel says, now the flyers are going to change everything, and because he doesn't really know her. But he says that now he knows her for sure because when he saw those flyers, he realized they were more alike than he knew. And for a moment, it was like being back in the dark again.
But here's my thing again. Do the flyers say her name?
On the back. Well, actually, no. Well, I don't know. Brooke did show him. I think it was a flyer. I don't think it was the original picture. I can't remember. But her name was on the back, so maybe that was the original picture.
It was the original picture, but...
Yeah, so unless she did like copy front and back. yeah, then
Because
probably
here's my
not.
thing. When it was already up there and Rachel saw it for the first time, Rachel knew what it was, but Mouth didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Nobody else would. If Mouth didn't even catch on and nobody else did, don't you think like that proves something that no one cares because they don't even know that's you?
Mm-hmm.
And also just play it off like you don't know. So, but going around acting like now it matters that that's you. Well, yeah, now they're gonna think that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he tells her that he doesn't see anything ugly in that picture, and she thanks him, but then says a lot of people saw ugly in her back then, including herself. And then Mouth asks Rachel if she ever really let go of her old self, because when she walks down those halls, doesn't she feel self-conscious, hope to be accepted, worry about fitting in? And she's, because he figures that if the old her would probably worry about those things. And Rachel says, yeah, she still feels that way. There's not a surgery to fix that yet. So Mouth tells Rachel she's beautiful now. He just wants her to know he could have loved the girl in that picture. And she tells him she wishes her younger self could have met him. And then she kisses him. And then he smiles after
Always
she walks
giving
away.
him mixed signals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Always. Just like inviting him for the, that one day and then they had the blackout. It's like she's always doing that crap.
Mm-hmm.
So then when the boys are in the gym
Mm-hmm.
and Lucas finally says something about like, asking coach like tell me why basketball matters right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. But like here's the thing, like everyone, like for basketball, it's like a way to get yourself out of for like that time to forget everything that's happening in your life because it's your
Mm-hmm.
hobby. That's what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously but like here's the thing for like Lucas is Keith loved the game. Even though he wasn't good at it, he loved the game. So don't you think like that would be a huge part of like Lucas wanting to play too? Of like Keith loved this game. He loved watching me. I just find it a little odd that it's like the total opposite.
Yeah, well, it seemed like Lucas never really affiliated Keith with the game before, because it was like Dan that overshadowed that and kind of ruined it for him in the first place. So he never even mentions Keith playing before.
Yeah, but
So
Keith got him on the team.
yeah, but that still isn't mentioned either. So I think Lucas just forgets everything
That Keith
that
did.
for the team.
No, because even when they talked about the father-son game and Lucas was like talking about how like like he wasn't very good and stuff. And they kind of went back and forth of like joking and stuff. And it's like Lucas knew he played. And remember Karen even told him, like Keith was there first and stuff. And Dan was like second. And that kind of stuff of like so it basketball did matter to him. But I loved though when with Whitey's speech.
Mm-hmm.
I thought like obviously like the boys needed to hear that because clearly it's never been talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But also I love that's how he got his name.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, we didn't find out until now, which is kind of funny.
Like 3 seasons later.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then at least now we know why too he chose this gym as well for them to play in.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, because then we know it's not. Yeah, and then we know it's not just a gym because we thought it was, but yeah, like it was one that mattered. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're still playing in that gym though.
Yeah.
And they didn't go back to the school gym.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then he tells Lucas, that's why the game matters, and puts his hands on his shoulders and promises him that it does matter even to today. And he tells Lucas to let the game heal him and to come back to them. And then at Peyton's, Peyton and Brooke are in bed. Peyton asks Brooke if she's awake. And Brooke says, how could she possibly be sleeping when she's thinking so loudly? And Payne sits up and Brooke asks her what's wrong. And Payne says Pete wants her to fly to Chicago tomorrow night. He left her a ticket. And now Brooke is more awake than ever. And she asks, why are they still talking about this? Because if she doesn't get on that plane, they are no longer friends. And Payne says she can't do this again. Like, why does every guy she have to leave? It's not fair. And Brooke tells Payne that she has no choice. She has to go. And Payne asks why. And Brooke says because Pete is cute and a rock star and she loves music and he's nice to her. And if she goes, she'll have a great time and maybe she'll fall in love. And if she doesn't, she's going to look back on this in 20 years and wonder what if. And Payne says she already has the what ifs. And Brooke says maybe this time she can have something more. But she has a point. But I'm pretty sure later if they talked about this whole Pete thing, then they could recognize that this was inappropriate for Payne to have a relationship with him.
But then there's two storylines in this episode of the older guy with the young girl.
Yeah. And then later at the church, the pastor...
Oh, and by the way, this bed was definitely Peyton's bed.
Okay.
There's no round bed.
Okay. Just from that first angle that I was watching that, I didn't really pay attention after that because it seemed like it was...
Because it was her same headboard and everything.
Okay.
And it was just a regular mattress. So I'm like... I just find it weird that you say you took out her bed for one reason, so the girls could have their own, and then you end up bringing her same bed back in. It's just weird.
Right. Yeah, because there's no way the second bed could have fit somewhere else in the room, so that had been the only spot for them both to be in. But later at the church, the pastor tells Haley and Nathan that they failed the test.
Failed.
Yep.
And Haley's like, I've never failed anything in my life.
Yeah.
Kind of marriage, didn't she? She just didn't say that.
Yeah. And then I liked how, this is when Nathan asks, the father, pastor, when he decided to be a priest, how did he know that was the right thing to do? Is there a test to prove, with that? And the father says he can't. So Nathan says it's the same with their love. It's just the test is just that score sheet. Doesn't mean anything. And Haley and him have worked hard to make this relationship work.
Yeah, and I loved all that. Nathan's speech was so good.
Yeah.
I love it.
And to the sweet moment too, when he says that when he looks at her, he knows he's going to be with her for the rest of his life. And he tells. And I loved
all that was them passing the test.
Yeah. So then the father rips it up and tells him they passed. And then at the cafe, Lucas walks in and Deb is happy to see him. He's happy to see her. And he asks if she can handle running things, like the cafe. They never mentioned Trick, though, so I don't know what happened to that. About running that. But Deb says Karen is her partner, and, she's picked up the slack for her, before a time or two, so that's the least she can do.
Which is weird that after a month, she's coming back. When don't you think that after his funeral, she should have come back to run the cafe? It's just weird that she didn't. Again, that's your business partner. You're coming back months later or whatever. It's just stupid.
And then Lucas asks Deb how it's, how is it being back with Dan and all? And that's when she says Cooper is staying with her. It feels good to have family around and Dan is keeping his distance.
Yeah, where is he?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking he has to be in the beach house.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we haven't seen him for a couple episodes. Kind of weird.
I guess he's busy being the mayor. Who knows?
But isn't it weird to not have Dan on the screen? For one scene?
Yeah, wasn't he maybe starting to direct around this time? I think. Yeah, I think.
Well, this one Maura did.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know. Unless he was doing something else, who knows? But then that's when Deb brings up the time that Nathan wrecked the race car. She didn't speak to Cooper for months. And she knew it wasn't really his fault, but somehow she blamed him anyway, and then tells Lucas losing your child is every mother's biggest fear. So
why did she say that?
I think because of the whole...
Lucas isn't dying.
I think it was in reference to the fire, going to the fire, now that Karen knows about that. So for Karen to get better, she tells Lucas that she's going to need to lean on him. So whatever he does, just make sure to take care of himself for his mother's sake. And then back at the gym, Whitey and Nathan are talking about how, they're going to have to play and do this and that. And that's when Lucas walks in.
And tells both of them that about his heart condition, that he has it, and he hasn't been taking his medication, which I still don't understand why he's not dead yet. And that if he plays, he could die, which is stupid because he's been playing, so it doesn't make any sense. And then he's been selfish and stuff, and he just didn't want to lose the game. So that was nice that he, but it's just weird. I thought he said, see, like, I don't know. In like my memory, I always thought like he said this in season 4. Because remember when he like leaves I don't know. I just felt like he didn't say this early, especially in season 3, because we have all season 4 to watch them play basketball. So I just thought it was later than that when he told Whitey.
Yeah, because
I thought that's why he was kind of off the team, was because he didn't, because he has this heart condition. But the fact that he's still on the team doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because we know that he plays in that big game and they win and there's all the confetti, and that's when he tells Peyton it's her. So he played again after this. I don't know. I don't remember the reason why he was again.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
Especially because Karen would have said no. You could die.
Yeah.
So I just don't get why, and Whitey would say the same thing. So I just don't get why. Because if he takes the medication, it slows him down, and he can't play, and it's a risk. And then if he doesn't take the medication, he could die. So either way, it's a lose-lose. So who in their right mind would say, keep playing?
Right.
Even if we give you medication, keep playing. No one's gonna say that.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought in my memory it was later, because why would you say it right now?
Right. Yeah, because and with Whitey too, he said that he knows how hard this conversation was to have. And then but you think that with the way Whitey is and has been in the past, that he would have been furious at Lucas for not telling him until now and have kept playing this whole time and risking his life,
Yeah, but I think he knows that Lucas is still hurting. And I think he knows not to put more pressure on him, like yelling at him, because he's already beating himself up, and he's finally telling the truth. So he's actually going in the right direction. And he also knows that telling Karen is going to be hard. So I think Whitey knows all that. That's why he probably isn't saying anything.
Well, I just thought maybe he'd be at least a little bit angry, but he
Plus,
wasn't.
he did come to him. He could have very well easily figured that out on his own.
Maybe,
like if Lucas was passed out or something. But he didn't yell at Nathan for taking drugs.
Yeah, because you know how Dan is.
Yeah, I mean, Dan's the one that yelled at him. Whitey didn't say anything. Whitey just said we need to work as a team, and that's it. Like, Whitey was more concerned about Nathan than basketball, and I think it's the same thing here. He's more concerned about Lucas than basketball, even if it is Whitey's last year.
No, I don't think he's worried about basketball. I just said about like Lucas and risking his life for basketball.
Yeah, but Nathan risked his life too. And he didn't yell at him, so I don't think he would have yelled at him.
Yeah, just their reasonings were different. Lucas was still playing for basketball, and Nathan was playing mainly for Dan to still, think he's good enough.
Yeah, but I think it's different when they come to you.
Yeah. But then back on the court, Brooke and Haley notice that Lucas isn't there, so they're both worried. And as Nathan's playing, Lucas walks out of the gym at the same time. And then after the game, Mouth is looking at a picture of him and Rachel on his phone when Brooke walks up. And she says, nice picture. And when is he going to get over the job of the sled so they can go back to being friends? And then that's when Mouth tells Brooke that she got Rachel all wrong. She's not a bad person, and what she's doing to her is cruel. And Brooke says she's not. She says he knows her, and as it sounds, even as it sounds, she can never go through Operation Fat Rachel. She's just playing around. And Mouth says that's good because she better get used to Rachel being around. She's a great person. Deep down, she has a big heart, and he likes her a lot. And Brooke says that she knows Rachel said she's into him, but to be careful. Like, he knows a leopard can't change its spots. And Mouth says that Rachel actually did. He just hoped her heart's the same. And then at Peyton's, her dad says he hopes he didn't completely freak out Fallout Boy. And he asks Peyton if she's heard from P, and she says maybe. And Larry says, she's a lot like her mother with the mystery because she didn't get it from him. And then he asks Peyton if she knows that he trusts her, and she says yeah. And says for her to promise him one thing, that when she picks the boy she's really going to be with, like you said it before about someone who treats her well and all that.
Yeah.
That's how he felt about her mom.
That's what I mean. I loved Larry's speech. Like, it's definitely true. Like, that's how you want the person to treat your kid.
Mm-hmm. And then Peyton, looks at the poster of Fallout Boy that she has on her wall now, looking at Pete. And then at the apartment, Haley says that 46 points on the test was actually good. And, tells him, Nathan, that he was amazing.
You mean speech. His points?
Oh, I thought that was just like overall or something.
What?
I thought that was just like maybe their points overall that they got or something.
No, this isn't about the test. It's what was the game tonight.
Oh.
He scored that many points.
Oh, I just thought since she brought up the past right after that, it was about the test they took.
Mm-mm.
And then, so she asks where Lucas was tonight, and Nathan says he has a heart condition, and that's when Haley tells him to not be mad at her because she already knew about this. But Lucas made a promise not to tell anybody.
And then, she's getting all concerned. Did he take his meds? No.
Mm-hmm.
He lied and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, when she said, though, that she was thinking of doing something different for their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And she brings up no sex. It was hilarious. He's like, what? So does that mean he's only with her for sex?
I don't know. I hope not.
Because I was just like, his reaction, I was like, you can't. Like, when is his wedding? We know it's like a couple episodes away.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, you've gone how long? Because you haven't been speaking to her. It's like, you went how long without it?
Right.
I think you can go a couple more weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but either way, they both couldn't wait. So they decided to wait to start it tomorrow. And then Lucas gets home and tells his mom, he knows she's hurting right now. He doesn't want to make it worse.
But he tells her about his heart condition. Oh my God. So I'm not going to lie. I really thought she was going to come up and slap him.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought someone would have a reaction to him telling them after all this time.
But I really did. I thought she was going to come up and slap him because the way she came up to him, I was like, oh, here it is. But then no, she hugs him.
Yeah. Yeah. Have the same reaction like she did when he said that Brooke was pregnant.
Mm-hmm. And because she just hit Whitey. So I figured she's in the slapping mood.
Yeah.
But she didn't. I was happy she had a turn.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But then it was so cute because he said that he's gonna need her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more than ever, yeah.
Yep.
And then Mouth goes to Rachel's to surprise her. He's wearing a suit and has a bouquet of flowers. But then Rachel asks him what he's doing there when she opens the door, and Mouth reminds Rachel that she said that she wished that the girl in the picture had met him, so he thought maybe she still might, or he might still have a chance. But then Cooper walks over, as we see now, that she's a supposed model he's seen. And he's shirtless, of course. He asks Rachel where she got the flowers. Mouth says they're from him, Cooper. So he gives Cooper the flowers, and Rachel looks at him, knowing he's hurt, and then he just walks away, and Rachel watches. And so Mouth doesn't know Cooper is Nathan's uncle, right? Because he probably would have had more of a reaction.
That's what I was confused about. I'm like, oh,
I think
what?
maybe, I guess Lucas only knows who he is.
No, because Cooper was at the hospital. Don't you think that at some point during the hospital, when Nathan was in the hospital, that like Mouth would have showed up because he's friends with Nathan? And don't you think like he would have seen Cooper around?
Well, didn't Cooper kind of stay away after everything? Because he felt bad, and Dan kind of got into a fight with him, so he thought it would be best if he didn't stick around the hospital. And then Deb was mad at him.
Maybe. I just thought it was weird that he didn't know either. I'm like, you don't know who that is?
Mm-hmm. And then Payne's goes to the airport. Deb is at the cafe when Karen walks in. She tells her she's going to need a lot of help. Deb says good because she's going to get it, and they hug. And so I did like this part now, I mean, it was only Lucas, but at least Deb is looking out for help herself now. instead of keeping everything to herself. And then Peyton's heading to like not the plane, but walking further into the airport, and they kind of try to make like a I forget the word, but trying to make it seem like it was going to be Pete because we see the Fallout poster back in her room for a second, but then we go back to the airport and it's Jake's exactly scene.
And then there's Jenny. So he found Jenny.
Yeah, because they show the poster again a second time and then show the drawing of Peyton, of Peyton's drawing of Jake and Jenny, so she never took it off the wall.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, Jake got Jenny back.
Yeah, somehow. Does he ever say how he did? Probably doesn't. He's probably vague about it, but probably. Yeah. So
that's the whole storyline. It's always vague. We don't ever really get any explanation for anything. Because he's the come and go character.
Right, but it was cute when Peyton crouched down and put her arms out, and Jenny walked to her.
See, that's the only reason why she's with Jake.
What Jenny?
No, Peyton. Yeah, Peyton. That's the only reason why Peyton's with Jake is because he is a kid.
And like before, like we said about the family she always wanted.
Yeah, this is her little family she always wanted. Yeah. And she's got it now. If he didn't have a kid, he would just be another guy.
Maybe, yeah. And then yes, that was the end of the episode there.
So for me, I wouldn't say it wasn't a bad episode. I liked it. I was so the high for me was Nathan's speech with the priest, and it was Lucas confessing to Whitey and his mom. Because he needed to tell them. Because now at least Karen can now get a medication.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason why he didn't tell her is because he was worried about it. But I like that. But I did like the ending when Karen finally was coming back to Karen's cafe, because I think her talk with Whitey and then Lucas needing her, I think that's what made her step up. So I think that's also why I liked him telling her, because she needed to pull herself back together, and here's a good chance because your kid needs you the most. Also, I was thinking too through this episode, Karen had to have known, maybe not the actress, but Karen had to have known that she was pregnant, because it's been like a month that he's gone. So I mean, so you have to think too, like when Whitey said, like, what more could you have given him? When he has said that, I was like, his own kid?
Maybe, yeah.
That was in my head. I was like, Karen could have given him his own kid, as obviously she did. He just doesn't know about it. I was like, does she know that she's pregnant?
Maybe.
Because you have to think too, like maybe that's why she's beating herself up even harder too. Like all Keith ever wanted was a family, and one of his own, and now she's pregnant, and he won't be there. Maybe that was a part of it too.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows that right now, but maybe she does. Because you have to think she probably knows she's pregnant. It's been a while.
Yeah, she should have. Yeah.
And then the low, probably the whole Fallout Boy thing. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Fallout Boy and Peyton thing, because it doesn't make any sense. Another high that I did like was Cooper talking to Lucas. I like that part too. What about you?
Yeah, my highs were the same as yours, and then the low for me was when Lucas had to tell Karen and Whitey the truth about his health conditions, his heart condition, and the fact that he knows he has to walk away from basketball now, is making the decision to. Well, I mean, at least temporarily. We don't know why he came back. But because all in all, it was still hard for him to admit to and confess to and actually do. So
I like that. And then
Yeah.
what would you rate it?
like an 8.5.
I was gonna go with 8. I
Mhm.
liked it. It wasn't my favorite episode, but I did like it.
Yeah.
There was some highs in there that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
And then who was your best and worst?
I don't know. My worst would be Rachel, just because she's leading Mouth on again, thinking that she likes him because she kissed him and everything. And then the best is Mouth, because he's just been trying the whole episode. He's been trying to help Rachel and get the posters back from Brooke and the cop, take down the flyers and tell her that he thinks that she's still beautiful no matter what she looks like then and now, and just cares about who she is on the inside, and all that. And yeah, so he's just getting set up for a heartbreak, which is really sad for him, because he already took it hard when Erica dumped him when she got popular. So he's kind of like not the same situation, but kind of the same situation, because Rachel thinks that maybe she's too good for Mouth, really, so because she was already seeing Cooper at this point, so she still kissed Mouth. So she's just, I don't know what she's doing there, but yeah. And you?
So for me, the worst was Rachel, yes.
Mhm.
Because not only is she leading Mouth on, she is lying to an adult
Mhm.
about how old she is.
Yeah.
Like, remember when I talked about on Dawson's Creek when Jen did that and she said she was however old she was and she really wasn't? And I was like, well, and then she invited him over and all of this, and then it got bad. And I'm like, you told him you were
Mhm.
older. So I'm like, you put yourself in that position. And same thing here. She's putting herself in a bad position. She's telling him she's 26 when she's not.
Yeah, but that guy was trying to force himself on Jen no matter how old she was, which is wrong either way. So
No, but I think when she had met him outside and before the inviting and all of this, I think if she would have said I'm however old she was, I don't think he would have went after her. I don't. I think it would have been done and over with. Because he thought Abby was like just a kid. Well, so's Jen. But here it's like the same thing. Like, do I think Cooper's gonna, be like that guy? No. But I am just saying that like Jen was putting that one guy at risk for the fact that he was an adult and he didn't know that. And she's now here's the same thing. Like Rachel's putting Cooper in that position of he is sleeping with an underage kid, an underage girl, when he doesn't even know she's underage. This is the problem. When the girls do that, when the girls say, I'm 21. No, you're not.
Mhm.
Because then when that person gets arrested and loses their life because of you, I don't agree with that because the girl said she was a certain age. And that's my problem with girls that do this, ruining someone's life because they're lying to them.
Mhm.
Because Cooper can very easily get arrested and he doesn't even know it.
Mhm.
He could very easily lose everything because of it. He could be on the sex offender list.
Mhm.
That's my problem. And Rachel thinks it's fun and it's a game and all of this when it's not. It's somebody's life.
Mhm.
That's the issue that I have. So, yeah, Rachel's in the wrong all the way around.
Right.
And so, and then the best, I'm going to go with Nathan because Nathan was there for Lucas. I mean, he got Whitey to forfeit the game.
Mhm.
I mean, Nathan did that. Nathan, of all people, did that. And then how he stood up for him and Haley with the priest. I loved his speech. And I
Mhm.
love that he's giving her this fairy tale wedding, even though he should have done that the first time around. But I
Mhm.
love that he's getting a second chance and he's doing it now.
Right.
I just love it all.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Nathan. So yeah, I feel like he's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, he's coming over the annoying stage that he was in.
Right.
We only know he's only going to go back to it in season 5. I'm not excited about that
Mm-hmm.
because I know he's going to be the worst like every episode.
Right.
And then what's the next episode?
Episode 20, Every Day is a Sunday Evening.
Interesting. I guess
Yep.
I'm glad it's not as long as this one was.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, so we're getting closer to season 4.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.